Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you are new. I am the stepson of Krypton.
And I'm Mantis.
What are you waiting for? You're not new. You've been here. And today we are discussing an oldie but goldie from my childhood, and that is they announced who the new He-Man is going to be. So, a couple of different things on this. Mantis, if you are ready to get into it, we will go ahead and get on with the discussion.
Let's go.
All right, guys. So I know we normally stick in the Marvel DC realm, so this is going to be a little bit more of a unusual one for some that we are discussing He-Man. However, the He-Man I know, the Masters of the Universe cartoon, as well as the live-action film from 1987. All of this occurred in the 80s. This was my childhood. I loved He-Man the character growing up. Mantis, what was your exposure to He-Man?
Very minimal. I mean, I vaguely remember the cartoon, and now I'm second guessing myself because I don't know if it's actually from other shows that have actually done clips of the He-Man cartoon in their show. Like I know it's been in Family Guy several times, but I have seen the Masters of the Universe, the movie from the '80s. And I think that's the last time I watched it was in the '80s. So, yeah.
Good job.
I vaguely remember some
Got it.
parts of that where it's like there's some like weird like crystal thing, and there's some weird little guy, like little creature or whatever.
Gwildor. And it
Gwildor,
wasn't. It was
yeah.
the cosmic key. Okay.
Whatever.
So
Yeah,
let's
that's my
let's
exposure.
let's get on into Nicholas. I'll let you take a crack at that last name. Galadine.
Galitzine?
Galadine.
Galitzine. Galitzine.
Roast me in the comments. I don't
Galitzine.
care.
Yeah,
Galadine.
Galit. Yeah, there you go.
Has been named as the new He-Man. Now, to be fair, Noah Centineo was actually signed on for the role of He-Man back in 2021, and he dropped out. And then they had Kyle Allen. They announced he was taking on the role in 2022. Also, no longer in the project. So Nicholas here is what we were left with. Now,
Why did they say why they left, or was it just like
one was due to COVID issues.
okay?
I think with Noah, it was a COVID thing. I don't know what was going on with Kyle Allen. I know they announced it. I
Hmm.
don't know what it was. The thing is, the movie has gone through. So this has been in the works since like 2007, right? The movie has gone through multiple studios, including Netflix. MGM a long time ago was talked on it. It is now landed from. It's on. It's going to be brought to you by Amazon Prime, right? Or Amazon. So let's just say, which, given some of the other series like Reacher, The Boys, and such, I want to have faith, but I don't know when I see this guy as going to be Prince Adam slash He Man. Now, because let me be honest with you here on this, because this is where when I initially see this kid, because I don't know anything else he's been in. I mean, I saw the list of things and I have not seen any of them. I think kind of more of like He-Man and the master of the pronouns, right? Like he's going to be like he, she, they, and master of the pronouns instead of master of the universe, right? And I'm worried that's where they're going to take it, because there's always been that slight undertone of, I see we have a guest, a special
Thor
guest.
Thor is
Um,
Thor wants to chime in. I don't think he's happy about it either.
Okay, he
Um,
doesn't. He looks happy, but not about the particular situation here. But there's always been kind of this undertone, because if you've seen like the original like cartoon on, sometimes he had like this pink looking shirt with this really tight like overshirt with this tight white shirt on there. Otherwise, he's kind of rocking a speedo and just out there, right? So there's always kind of been these undertones, and I'm worried that's where I don't want them to take that there, because when I originally, like, when you see He-Man in live action, it's Dolph Lundgren.
I've waited
waited a long time for this.
Right? I mean, he's 6'5", just jacked cock diesel motherfucker, and this kid's like 6 foot even. Looks like he weighs 150 pounds, right? He's just not what you think about when you think about He-Man. However, what I have to kind of look past is that's not the movie. The original movie in 1987 did not show He-Man the way he is in the cartoon and the comics. In the cartoon and the comics, he is Prince Adam. He is the Prince of Eternia, which is the planet they're on, and he protects Castle Grayskull, which basically is the power, the power source for Eternia and everything going on. He has the power sword, or the sword of power, or the sword of Eternia, or sword of Grayskull, whatever you want to call it. Which actually comes the settlers of Eternia, like they came from Earth, right? Little bit interesting of a callback. Like his mom, like his parents are like, his dad was King Radnor from Eternia, and his mom is from Earth. So
was she kidnapped?
We don't use those terms around here. We're not going to go into that.
They came across the border, kidnapped him, and then yeah, that sounds like that's what happened. I want to jump in a little bit though, because I mean, I don't know who this person is either. I've never seen him before. The Nicholas Geldstein.
Let's just call him Nicholas.
Yeah, Nikki G. I don't know who Nikki G is. Never seen him. But I will say this, and I know you mentioned this. You know, Dolph Lundgren being 6'5", but I will say, I'm just going to play devil's advocate on this. Not specifically the picture or anything he looks like. I'm just saying height doesn't necessarily matter in action films or superhero films. Obviously, you know, I'm going to point out Sylvester Stallone. I'm going to point out, not that he's not that much bigger, obviously, than 6 foot. As I'm not, Sylvester Stallone is obviously 5'10" or whatever, but like, you know, Schwarzenegger's only like 6'2". Like, he's not tall.
He's
like,
shorter. I think he's 6'1", actually.
I mean, it's in the ballpark, right? Like, it's not like he's towering, you know, like Lundgren was. So necessarily height's not that thing. Anyone can bulk up. I'll give him that. But I will say, from the picture that I'm looking at, it's when's this movie coming out? Because he better start now, and he may bulk up enough in the end of 2 years to be able to play the part.
Well, no, so here's the thing, and I started to go off on a tangent, and I didn't get to my point, about the movie. I didn't get to my point, which is He-Man, Prince Adam, he's not big and bulky like He-Man, right? He turns into He-Man with the power sword.
With power.
So,
okay. Well,
yeah, and again, but hopefully somebody actually watches to this point so they don't go roast me in the comments that I don't know what I'm talking about. I was getting there. I'm sorry I take a long time to get to my point, right? So I apologize. That one's on me. But he turns into He-Man with the power sword. Now, that's been done differently in the original comics. When it first came out, he had an axe and he had a shield, and the power sword was an artifact that actually was broken into 2 pieces. If you combined them, you were granted all of the powers of Castle Grayskull. In the cartoon, when it came out, and then it got adapted into the comics, he has the power sword, and he has that I have the power. He points the sword up. That's what turns him into He-Man, which is the big hulking motherfucker that we kind of know of Dolph Lundgren, as well as his Cringer, I think's his cat's name. I'm trying to think if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's this green tiger, and he turns into Battle Cat, right? That all comes from the power sword, which draws its power from Castle Grayskull. In the movie, we don't see that. We just see Hulk and Dolph Lundgren. They didn't want to go into all of that, right? So he doesn't do that. Well, he does say, I have the power, but it doesn't change it.
Right. So if they did something like that, is it gonna have to be done like they did Chris Evans did in Captain America, where, well, Chris Evans bulked up. That's how he normally looks. But to make it kind of like he looks skinny at the beginning of the film before he takes super soldier serum, they did the whole face on some other person face. Oh.
The
Eyes, nose, skin. It's coming off.
No more drugs for that man.
Are they? Can they do something like that? Because I find it would be very hard. Like in that film, it was a one-time thing. Like it was very uncanny valley at the beginning of Captain America, but once he switched to Captain America, that was it. You didn't never see him again as little puny guy. It didn't look weird, right? If it's like a case where he just transforms back and forth, that's gonna look weird as shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, so here's the thing with that, and it's interesting you bring that up, is Chris Evans was built and they put his face on a skinny body for that brief period of time. Where
that's what
this kid, now, from pictures I've seen of him, he's obviously nowhere near what you would imagine He-Man to be. But again, he's got time, but he's never going to match the build and the height that we're thinking like Dolph Lundgren. And people who, the Rock style, I mean, He-Man, his number one attribute is his unparalleled strength. He's the strongest person in the universe, right? In their comic and all that. So is it a complete transformation like Shazam? Like, where it's just a completely different actor?
I don't know. Does it say?
They've not gone into anything on this. Like I said, he's finally been announced. But yeah, I think it's slated for 2026, but that could still get pushed back because I don't know what it is. Real quick tangent, but like Spawn, Blade, we keep getting pushed back. Where are these movies you've been promising us? God damn it! But when I looked at him, I was really worried. I'm like, God, like, but I was thinking back to the '87 movie. We only saw He-Man as He-Man. This. Yeah, he obviously, it looks like they're going to play that actor as more of the Prince Adam part of him, because what'll happen is with He-Man, and for those of you who aren't familiar, when he says, I have the power, he points the power sword up, he gets his power or whatever, he has limits. So, like, there are limits to how long he can stay He-Man, depending on how much force and power he uses. And then he can also turn back into Prince Adam by saying, let the power return. So it returns back to Castle Grayskull. And there's a bit of a recharge time, right? Between, it's like you play the video game. You can only do stuff for a limited
get some
period.
elixirs. Maybe we get some upgrades.
There's going to be like little power icons he's got to walk over and he can get his power back. I feel like they're better off going the different actor route, like Shazam. This kid looks really young. So I could see them playing that, and then all of a sudden he becomes this jacked son of a bitch. If you think back, if you've ever watched Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Reynolds is in damn good shape, but they put his face on a big bodybuilder body.
There are three things I love in life: kicking ass, TBD, third thing here.
To play Guy. Or not Guy, to play Dude. He's Guy. To play Dude. So I'm like, maybe you do something like that, but they leaned into it as a joke, right? This, if he's going to be He-Man, if you're not going to do the Dolph Lundgren, again, he was always just He-Man. You never saw the Prince Adam side of him. So, like, if they're not going to do that, I got to imagine if they're going with him, that's not the plan. They're going to play the Prince Adam part.
Yeah, this is also kind of off topic, but I wanted to bring it up. Wasn't there a show already created by what's his name, Kevin Smith, He-Man, that they tried to do and it just failed miserably? It was animated on Netflix. Okay,
well, so I know they've had, obviously, they did a 2002 to 2004 a 39 episode run of He-Man Masters of the Universe. They did a He-Man Masters of the Universe in 2021 to 2022. Had 3 seasons, 26 episodes. I don't know if either of those are what you're referring to, but we've always
is back in 2001, and there was looks like maybe a total of 15 episodes.
Well, like they did a New Adventures of He-Man in 1990, and they end up putting out like a handful of episodes, but the film studio or the studio that was making that actually had been shut down, so they'd already been working on it. So they put a few out. Not all of them were released. He-Man's had a rough go through. Mm-hmm. There was been battles with Mattel when they were coming out with toy lines and what they were and weren't allowed to do. so he's had a rough go throughout the ages here, right? We got the 87 movie. Now, here's a fun fact. So, Canon Films, Canon Studios, I'm trying to think of its exact name. Canon Films, who did He-Man Masters of the Universe in 1987, was actually slated to do a big budget Spider-Man movie way back when. They wanted to do a Spider-Man movie. However, they shelved it for a period because they wanted to do this movie and Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. And they were going to use the profits from both movies to make a big budget Spider-Man movie.
Well,
now,
yeah, the money wasn't there on those. So.
87 He-Man releases, $22 million budget. It actually went $7 million over budget, right? Ran 7 weeks past production. It was supposed to be a five month shooting. Went 7 weeks past. The actual director begged for one more day to finish the fight scene where we see fucking Skeletor fall into this like bottomless pit. There was supposed to be a more complex fight scene in Castle Grayskull, and when he went to shoot the scene, Castle Grayskull had already been dismantled. So they had to do the bottomless pit because Castle Grayskull had already been taken down.
Oh my gosh.
And there was a couple of they had a couple scenes at the end when they come out of Castle Grayskull. You were going to see the Eternia flag as well as the United States of America flag, because again, they were from because it's in the future. They were from Earth way back when. That was the mission to Eternia. None of that happened. So yeah, since both movies flopped, Superman 4, Quest for Peace obviously was terrible. This movie didn't. It did 17 million on a budget of 22 million, so it didn't make it. So that Spider-Man movie never happened because of this movie and Superman 4, which I thought is kind of interesting. However, I said it just a little bit ago and then got off on that tangent. For the DC fans, and another reason why we're doing this on the channel, not to just relive part of my childhood, but in 2012, DC Comics actually published a He-Man Masters of the Universe comic. Okay, they actually published the comic. So that ran from June of 2012 to March of 2017, and then picked up again in July of 18 to 2020. They actually ran a He-Man Masters of the Universe comic, DC Comics. Hence why we're also discussing on this channel. And they did 2 crossovers into the DC universe. And one, He-Man goes toe-to-toe with Superman. So, because in the He-Man universe, he is the strongest man in the universe. Like, he has moved moons.
What happened?
Do what?
What happened?
That is going to be discussed on another day. I will tell you. Let me break it down here. So He-Man's power has limits when he's He-Man, right? And if he takes too much damage or overexerts himself, he automatically returns back to Prince Adam. Well,
what if he takes a blue pill?
Then he turns into a Prince Albert. No.
Then he can go all night.
Right? So no. So it didn't end well for him. Not that it ended badly. Because it's actually 2 good guys fighting, right? So it's not going to end bad. But he did go toe-to-toe with him. Notice I didn't say he beat Superman. He got put in check. Okay? So, and if you disagree with that in the comics, you're going to try to say, I don't know what I'm talking about. He got put in check. Okay? I don't give a shit what your opinion is. He got put in check. But so it does have a DC tie-in. It is interesting, when you think about. I don't know if you knew that, Mantis, but
no,
But yeah, DC
like I said, I have very limited knowledge
He-Man.
of it. I just know a few little tidbits. Now I know more.
I want them to focus on the Dolph Lundgren style of where we just see He-Man as being a badass, because I think as men we need that He-Man, especially from our past, that role model of just being a man. Let's not break into his sexuality. That's what I'm saying. I don't want him he, she, they, them, master of the pronouns. I want He-Man, master of the universe. Now, he has a twin sister, She-Ra, have at it. Do whatever you fucking want to with that. Go nuts with that one, right? Leave He-Man, He-Man. Okay? Don't focus on his sexuality. It should have nothing to do with it. Make a good action movie with He-Man.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know too much about, other than the vague snippets I remember from the movie, and then the snippets from the cartoon shows. Yes.
Good journey. They didn't touch hands. It's kind of like in Demolition Man. I bid you. Or they don't touch hands. Good journey.
Does he know about the seashells?
He doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells. I can see how that could be confusing.
Anyway, no, I mean, again, I have no dog in the fight on this one, other than, it does seem to have an interesting story, and there's something there. I agree, like, especially since they haven't really tackled a live version of this since the 80s. Like, there's definitely a possibility for this. I would have rather seen this in a series, like a live action series. We discussed on the previous video of how I think origin stories of characters that many people may not know about tend to do better, I think, as series. So that would be my only gripe with it. But, I don't have a problem with a smaller person playing the character, because with modern movies, the way they can make camera angles and whatnot, the height doesn't matter now. If he can't put on masks, that's kind of a thing with He-Man when he's He-Man. Like, he's muscular, so he needs to be muscular to play He-Man.
I mean, that's his defining characteristic is his unlimited strength. Now, again, if he's just playing Prince Adam and they're going to do they're going to do something different for He-Man, I'm good with that, right? What I don't like, and I'm going to catch shit for this in the comments, have at it. Don't fucking care. But I love Tom Hardy as an actor. I think Tom Hardy is an amazing actor. I did not like him as Bane, right? He didn't fit the bill as Bane. He is shorter than Christian Bale. He is my height. And even at his biggest as Bane, he was 200 pounds. Guys, right now, I am 189 pounds. I'm not fat, right? Like, I'm not that. So if I'm 189 pounds and we're almost the same height and we almost weigh the same as he did in Bane, he did not fit the bill as Bane. Now, I loved how they played Bane as being a more intelligent than what we saw in Batman and Robin.
Dear, an exit, please.
But he didn't fit the bill physically. And we had just talked about in a previous video, what we did with Deathstroke, what we literally just recorded before this one, about how Joe Manganiello fit the profile picture of Deathstroke, being when they aged him a little bit, how he looked great as the character, right? That's what you want to see, right? You have this image in your head, and when we think Patrick Stewart playing Professor X, and we have these people that fit the bill, and it's not to say they can't, obviously Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine was completely off character because he's like a foot taller than he is in the comics. So it works, but like you have this idea of these characters, and it's like, so that's kind of, again, what you want to see, right? A Bane that size, yes, they did a great job, and they always made him look bigger and stuff, but fuck, why do that? Just get a good actor that fits closer to the bill. Like, why is this kid picked? Now, again, if he just stays Prince Adam and you do something different for however you do it for him playing He-Man, great. I don't care. And I think that's what they're going to do. I'm not hating on it. I'm like, oh my God, this is a terrible film. This film's going to suck, because I saw one frame of a picture of, like people do with the super suit. Told you we're going to keep mentioning that. I'm going to find a way to work it in. So I'm not judging it, right? I that was my initial reaction. I said, I'm holding back judgment. I'm being reserved. Just when I initially saw it, that's what I went through. And you guys should do the same, right? Don't rush to judgment on things. God damn. Everybody, they see a clip, they hear a 2-second audio clip, or they watch they watch 1/18 of a video, and they're, oh my God, this is going to be terrible.
Or it's going to be great.
Yeah, right?
It's not.
Take a pause.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Step back. What do you actually know?
Is going to play He-Man, I don't think it's going to live up to the expectations of older fans like I am who remember the originals and were fans of the original cartoon Masters of the Universe and the movie, because he just doesn't fit it physically, right? The physicality aspect's not there. You might as well go with Zac Efron. At least he's bulked up for his last role and all that. About the same height. All that. So that's my thing. But I'm going to reserve judgment that they know what they're doing. It's Amazon. I really hope. Could be wrong.
I don't know. I don't know. My thoughts on it are concerning. One, because of all the turmoil behind trying to make this happen through different studios and different actors. That's a red flag to me. Secondly, it landed in Amazon Prime's lap, and I just had this bad taste in my mouth with Amazon Prime. Although it's I got to use some mouthwash with the Fallout series. Was awesome. Great series there. However, the reason that was good was because they brought in Todd. Yeah, I mean, Reacher was good for sure. The Boys was funny. I think what worries me about Amazon Prime is because of what they did with fantasy film or with the fantasy.
You're just stuck on Rings of Power.
Yeah, it's fucking garbage. Okay. It's a travesty.
He is not wrong.
It's a travesty. The biggest waste of money I've ever seen in my life, aside from the U.S. government. Like it's horrible. And that's what scares me about this. And again, maybe this is gonna fall in line with Reacher and with The Boys and with Fallout, because again, Fallout just came out and it is fantastic. We did videos on it. They didn't do so well on YouTube, but if you're still watching this, you need to go watch those. It's good. My only worry is the Rings of Power bullshit. It just I don't know. And maybe it's contained in that, and this isn't. I don't know who's writing this, who's directing none of it. I don't know this person, so I can't really judge other than.
I saw their names, but I didn't bother to even remember them because when I kind of looked them up, they hadn't done anything. Like
so they might as well
no credits to and I say no credits. There are a couple, but nothing like that's going to pique my interest or anybody that's going to be watching this channel, right? Like,
yeah. Did a documentary on grasshoppers in 2004. Like, okay, like what does that have anything to do with Masters of the Universe? Like, how does that help you here? No, that's my only worry about it. So, but we'll see again. And again, we don't know. Like you mentioned, my final thoughts on this. I'm not judging. All I'm saying is from what we know so far, that's my opinion. This is definitely in the early works. If we're 2 years away, they probably haven't done any of the cast, maybe some of the outline of the stories written already. Right. I mean, we just don't know what's actually going to happen. So
I will say this as my final thoughts. Dolph Lundgren had said in an interview back in 2012 that he would be interested in playing King Radner, which was He-Man's dad, which I think would be a nice little nod to the 87 film since he was that. Him playing the king, I think would be cool. He also said in a more recent, just here in the last year interview, that he wanted to see Chris Hemsworth take up his mantle, which I think would be great, right? Chris Hemsworth's got the long hair. He is built like a motherfucker if you've seen him in Thor Love and Thunder. However, Chris Hemsworth said no because he thinks it's too close to his character on Thor, which I agree with him. They are very similar in aspects. He's wanting to try to expand his range a little bit. You don't want to get typecasted, but fuck, you're typecasted as the strongest man in the universe and a god. Is that a bad typecasting?
Didn't he just star in a Mad Max film or a
Mad Max Furiosa? And he has a Hulk Hogan biopic where he plays Hulk Hogan coming out. That's why he actually got so big. So
what's he fucking talking about? It looks like Thor. Like you're gonna go as Hulk Hogan. He's fucking blonde hair, body built like he's the same.
But Hulk Hogan's a real person. Mad Max is something different. this is like a guy that has an all-powerful weapon, like his goddamn hammer and Stormbreaker, the longer hair. He is basically a god. I mean, I get it, right? He's the Prince Adam. He's the Prince of Eternia versus being he's going to be the king of Asgard. I get it, but dude, like I don't think, like, especially if he was a fan of it, he maybe wasn't from back in the day, but like I don't see that as being a bad.
Sounds
like saying I was He-Man, right? Would be awesome.
I just don't think he wanted to do it because I'm looking at the pictures of him from Furiosa as the villain there, and like. He looks like looks like he's playing Thor from Ragnarok. Like he looks the same. Like
he might have been
the
afraid
beard,
the character.
I mean, that could be too. I mean, I don't know. After what they did with Thor, I don't know what he's so fucking scared about. Like they already fucking destroyed that character. So
destroying him because you make him so comedic and this, that, and other's different than if you take him in other avenues that we won't mention. So. But guys, if you've made it with us this far, consider giving this video a like. He's showing you where. Subscribing to the channel. I don't imagine, similar to our DC and Marvel stuff, we're going to be getting a lot of He-Man news. Just felt like we should do this one because they just announced this. I loved He-Man growing up as a kid, and it is actually tied into the DC universe. DC Comics did publish the comics, or a run of the comics. So,
albeit very small, but they still did.
Do what?
I said, albeit small, but they did.
I mean, they did 75 issues over the course of those years. That's not bad. That's not a bad comic book run. You'll get comics in the DC universe that ran for far less, and people take that as canon. And it's like, oh my god, if you say anything to the contrary, like you're wrong because it was Kryptonian clothing in this like
it was closer
8 fucking episode series in the comics. But oh my god, that's the fucking origins now. But whatever. But not bitter.
Jeez, not bitter at all.
I just hate stupid people. I have to deal with them on a daily basis at my full-time job. I come to this channel to have fun, and it's just like, guys, I'm not going to tell you to comment on the video because honestly, there's been a few videos, but we're literally recording these kind of back to back where I'm done with comments for the moment. I got to kind of get over it. I got to work through, all the work I put into editing these videos just to deal with that because nobody wants to comment anything positive. It's only negative, which is fine. I get it. It happens on YouTube channels, right? And when you're starting out, but it's just you kind of hit that point where you're like, all right, like I really don't care if you comment. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then we can work on the relationship of building up to commenting on the channel, right? Don't feel like, because I just created a YouTube channel have that so I could comment on people's videos and be a douchebag. So he's going to ask you to comment on them. I'm not going to.
Please comment. I will address your comments to me. It's fine.
Yes. To Mantis Tubagan at you, me, and DC. Comment down below. Leave me the fuck out of it. I'm done with you guys for a little bit on commenting. Not our actual faithful subscribers that have been here since the beginning, or even our new subscribers. We do love you guys in a friendly way, not like that kind of way. You guys are the reason we do this. Do it.
I might love you like that.
Preferential, bordering on gentle, possibly even lover-like treatment.
It's fine.
He might love it like it. We're gonna be friends, right? It's love as a friend, so that, but we do appreciate all of you guys who actually watch the videos. If you don't comment but you still watch, just as much appreciate
right? that too.
We can't. I'm not gonna force you to comment and all that. So I just appreciate you watching our content. So you guys are the reason why we do this channel. So from me, Mantis, and you hear Thor. He heard his name earlier. You hear Thor in the background there.
Squeaky stuff.
Yeah,
he found his toy and he wants to play right now. So
we do appreciate it, and that's going to wrap it for us here on this episode. We will see you on the next one.
Later.